Can you sell your insolvent company to avoid liquidation, to avoid having to deal with somebody like myself as a liquidator? The answer is it's possible, but you need to be careful. It could fall into the trap of one of these insolvency avoidance schemes. Those schemes are gradually being wound up one at a time, and directors have recently, in respect of one of those well-known schemes, been subject to disqualification. Which brings me on to a story of somebody who thought that they might be able to take advantage of something similar, if not one of those schemes, when he rang me up about a week ago from Scotland in relation to some sort of construction field where the idea was that the company would be sold, and the problem was that this company was owed about £100,000 according to the director, but owed substantially less to its creditors, but the director had been unsuccessful in collecting in the debts, and the director was essentially sounding me out as to what I thought about the idea that you could sell the company, avoid the hassle of liquidation. I put it to him that, look, construction debt is notoriously difficult to collect. It's going to be virtually impossible, if not very difficult, for somebody who takes over the business to collect in those debts without you to help them as the witness and without you providing all the documents and really being able to help run that kind of litigation, which is very, very difficult and tricky. So the idea that you would sell the company, walk away, and just simply let them collect the debts didn't sound particularly impressive. And from somebody looking from the outside in, I put it to the gentleman, how did he think that this was going to appear? Did it seem credible? It looked like it was simply a mechanism to avoid the hassle of going into insolvent liquidation and having to essentially deal with the consequences of that and deal with the liquidator. Now, liquidation isn't always the only option. You can, in some instances, go down the strike-off route. But in a case like this, where you've got HMRC and a bounce back loan creditors, for example, they would object, and therefore the strike-off procedure wouldn't happen at any time soon. It could potentially languish for years, as it seems to be currently doing for many, many, many so-called zombie companies. So this didn't really appear like a particularly great idea from the director's point of view, simply because nobody was going to be able to collect those debts better than himself. And, obviously insolvency avoidance schemes are marketed, and where they become under particular scrutiny is where effectively those schemes enable the directors to simply take the debts with them when they leave the company behind, with just debts with somebody else to look after. That's where they become particularly problematic as a way of avoiding the insolvency regime. So I suggested to the director that you need to think very, very long and hard before entertaining going down some route, even if somebody else has suggested they were going to collect the debts, that he had to think about how that would look and whether it appeared credible. What do you think? Questions, queries, concerns, give us a shout. We know insolvency inside out.